Words are about to be spoken on the Extreme Life of Matt Hardy, brought to you by the Ad Free Shows podcast feed and Wrestling According to Alba Networks. I'm John Alba. That's the broken one, the woken one, the spoken one himself, Mr. Matt Hardy. We are back in the back of a Cadillac, baby. That's the immortal words of Brian Johnson in Back in Black. How are you, my friend?
Doing very well. Doing very well here at home for my last full day and we are taping this on Wednesday for the record. And tomorrow I'm heading to the Great White North. Fortunately, it is getting warmer, so I don't think it will be white. It will be north, but I don't think it will be white currently. So heading up to lovely Canada, Toronto.
Let's hope not, man.
yeah. Let's hope not. Fingers crossed. And doing 3 nights back to back in Brampton, Ontario, Canada.
Hot damn. It's like a old school house show loop here, man. Look at that.
Yeah, in some ways.
Guys getting up there. That's great to see. They love you up in Canada country.
Yeah.
You guys, well, it'll be you teaming with Leon Slater against the Nemeths. I kind of appreciate it, man, that you guys didn't shy away from, the real reasons of Jeff not being there.
Yeah, Jeff was a big advocate of that too. He really wanted to be very transparent and just be straightforward. He's like, oh, come on, man. Like, as opposed to being injured, let's just be straightforward with it. And I think Tommy Dreamer had a good point, even about using it to get the Nemeth's heat in what we were doing. And first and foremost, I want to say one thing I am proud of. Whenever they came out and they did that promo where they acknowledged, like, we're going to give you this title shot, but we're going to give it to you in Brampton, Ontario, Canada. And the crowd's like, yeah. And they said, we'll even make it a ladder match. And the crowd's, yeah. They're all excited about it. And then, then Nick Nemeth's like, hey, brother, he's got problems with the Lizzo. He can't cross the border right now. He can't get into Canada. He says, oh, well, guess it's off. And like they had so much massive heat in the building. And our goal through all this was to try the best we could to get Ryan up to where Nick is, in terms of like heat or whatever, trying to make him more a serious, legit competitor. And I feel like we're achieving that. So I am very happy about that, from that perspective.
More than fair. They're trying to build some equity as a tag team champion unit too.
Yeah.
So again, them in that stage with you. And look, Leon's got the spirit of Jeff Hardy, does he not?
He does. He definitely does. As a quote, and I saw Leon, I don't see if you saw, he clipped it and he posted it up about after he did the thing, and everybody was like, oh my God, are you all right? After he was in the Ultimate X and he did the Swanton 450 and he hit and they're like, oh my God, are you okay? He said, of course I'm okay. I'm a Hardy boy.
There you go.
And that's funny. And he clipped it. And I love that. That's what AJ Francis has told me. That was his first response out of his mouth. Of course I'm okay. I'm a Hardy boy. And, this will have aired last night, considering this drops Friday morning. But I do a vignette where I'm kind of pumping him up for the match, and I'm so proud of it. I thought it was so good. And at the very end of it, I can say it now because it won't be a spoiler. I just say, like, towards the end of it, I want to incorporate. I said, Jeff has only won world tag team titles with me. I said, but I have won world tag team titles with other people as well. I said, I was tag team champions with MVP. I was tag team champions with Bray Wyatt. I said, and this weekend, I want to be tag team champions with you, Leon Slater Hardy. And he smiled so big because he didn't know I was going to say that too. It was such a great moment, though, and I love that so much. But if you saw that last night, please comment underneath, wherever you see this, comment underneath and let me know how you like that whole vignette. I thought it was really, really good.
I know. Maybe Private Party's got to make room for another bio here.
Oh, they do. They do. I think it's too late. I think I've got a third. I've got 7 kids now.
How's Zay going to deal with adding another mouth to feed here?
Well, he'll be all right. He's a
bit
big
of a
boy.
prima donna.
Yeah, he's a big boy. They had a title run. He'll be all right.
He's a bit of a prima donna, that Isaiah Cassidy. So I know we'll be looking after him, but that's cool, man. I'm a big Leon Slater guy. I think he's great, and he meshes well with the Hardys. So it's cool that he's going to get the proverbial rub working with you over in TNA. We'll talk a little more about what's going on in the wrestling world in just a little bit, but I want to tell you guys a little bit about what's going on in the world of the Hardy Boys, because, Matt, this was just announced Last week, we talked about the Kowloon live show, which I'm going to share more information on in just a second. But you guys are going to be going up to Limitless Wrestling on August 9th in Lewiston, Maine at the historic Coliseum. This is where that famous image of Muhammad Ali standing in triumph was taken. It's one of the most famous sports photography images ever. And you and Jeff are going to be wrestling at the Vacation Land Cup there and doing a signing as well. Man, it's been a long time. I looked it up since the Hardy Boyz have wrestled as a unit up in Maine together. In fact, it's been since the end of 1999 when you faced Edge and Christian as the Brood. So
Really?
that should put things into perspective how long it's been since you guys teamed together up in Maine. You have performed many times individually since then.
Right.
But that should tell you how crazy long it has been. Man, what do you think about all that, getting up there and getting a chance to perform in front of a new audience here?
Yeah, I mean, it's exciting. Once again, it's a debut for Limitless, and hear very good things about Limitless. And obviously, you know, you've put it over, but I've heard a lot of buzz, and there's a lot of people that have worked in Limitless that I really enjoy. I think it's cool. I think it's cool that it worked out. I love the fact that we're doing a double shot. We're going back up north. We're going to the Northeast, man, you know, to Maine. And that's crazy that we haven't been there since 1999. That almost seems, that's hard to fathom. It seems like we would have been there at some point whenever Jeff came back from 2006 to 2009 or whatever. But I guess not. The fact that we are going to Maine, the fact that I'm going to that building, if I haven't been to that building since 1999, then I can.
So you have wrestled in that building. Yes. You actually wrestled Booker in that building.
Hey, look, surprise cameo.
Oh, there we go. There we go. There she is.
Surprise cameo. Hey, shake it, shake it, shake it, shake it. Yes, I do know that I have been there, but I was just saying it's crazy that Jeff and I have not been in Maine, and probably wasn't even in that building. But the fact that we will be in that building, it's a very famous building. That picture of Muhammad Ali is going to go on my thread of you know, from my perspective on that day that we were there.
Yeah, he and Sonny Liston, that crazy photo, and maybe you'll have to incorporate that in the match. Whoever you face, you'll have to stand over him like that and delete them from existence. So you're going to be doing that August 9th. Tickets are going to go on sale for that, thecoliseum.com, June 2nd. And then the next day, we are off to Kowloon right outside of Boston, Saugus, Massachusetts. So excited for this show. We did a live show at Kowloon a couple of years ago. We packed it out. This is going to be even more packed. A meet, greet, and delete after the show. You're going to get an Extreme Life podcast. You get a Jeff Hardy live acoustic concert, and you're going to get delicious Chinese food and beverages as well. Man, this date is like circled on your calendar. I know you can't wait for August 10th.
Oh, baby, heaven is a place on earth. Yes, indeed. Very excited for this. On top of having a wonderful Hardy party, we are going to get to indulge in Kowloon.
This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to get the VIP meet, greet, and delete, priority seating, chance to see Jeff sing, chance to see Matt tell these great stories that you hear every single week on the podcast, and some that we can't even share on the podcast as well, by the way. I should mention that. You never know who's going to show up at these things. Last time we were at Kowloon, John Cena Sr. is just chilling in the audience. Mark Henry just came by. We had no idea, and we were able to integrate them into part of the show, so you never know who's going to show up. This is on a Sunday afternoon. The doors are going to open at noon. Show's going to start at 1 o'clock, and then there will be a VIP meet, greet, and delete signing afterwards. So limited tickets are available for this one. You're going to go to hardyboyzlive.com. That's HARDYBOYZ live.com to get your tickets right now. Limited GA available as well, but we highly encourage you to check out the VIP because it is such a great experience. And after all these meet and greets that you guys do, I know, Matt, I see you do these 8-hour signings. You still never get tired of doing them because you're back at it every single week.
Yes, back at it every single week. It's what we do. It's crazy because Jeff and I were having a conversation about this. We just had a big weekend at the Motor City Comic-Con in Detroit. They took such great care of us. Saturday was just insanity. It was just packed all day long, just nonstop, meet, greet, delete, meet, greet, delete, meet, greet, delete, repeat. And we had a great day, but we loved interacting with people. We met so many people that had just followed us since their childhoods and whatnot. And just so many people came through and they said, like, you guys are like part of pop culture now. And that's one thing that is cool. We're hearing that more and more as time goes on, because not only are we wrestlers who have had these pretty amazing runs, especially as a tag team, as a very standout tag team over different decades. We've been like influential with like style and just people feeling comfortable to be themselves because they are who they are, especially with Jeff and his whole persona. So it's very cool that we have kind of transcended generations, and there's a lot of people that just like recognize us as people from pop culture, which is very cool and interesting.
So we are going to be heading out there August 10th. We got Limitless August 9th. It is going to be a fantastic evening and afternoon. I'm so excited to get back up. New England is like my adopted home. I really do love it. And I'm going to be part of the Limitless show too. I can't tell you how just yet, but I'm going to be part of it. And to see you guys in that environment is going to be great. So people, they posted the announcement. Rich Palladino, our boy, did the announcement, and people were like crying. It was so crazy. They had a big holy shit chant. So the Hardys are over in 2025. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise, no matter how diminished their skills may be.
Let me ask you this. How many people can we put in that building?
In the Colisee?
Yeah.
It's an arena, man. We could pack that place.
I mean, what does the capacity hold?
I'd say we would love to put anywhere from 2,500 to 3,000 in there if we can do it.
Yeah, that'd be great. Well, let's make that our goal then. We're going to shoot for 2,500.
Okay, let's shoot for it, and let's see what we can get. Last year, Limitless ran it for the first time, and it was a big success. So, that the Vacation Land Cup is a really cool show too. It's a one-night tournament to declare the #1 contender for the Limitless Championship, which is maybe the most prestigious indie championship in all New England. So, it's going to be very, very exciting.
We just drew 2,800 in White Plains, a couple weeks ago. So yeah,
there you go. And that was a hell of a show. So
hell of a show.
What you guys end up doing there. Hey, someone who has been involved in Limitless over the years, Willow Nightingale. I had a chance to speak with Willow for SI, and she confirmed that she has re-signed with AEW. Sean Ross Sapp first reported that. I'm big on Willow. I know you've got a pretty high ceiling on her as well. What do you think about her? I mean, she's in the main event scene right now in AEW. It sounds like she's going to be part of Anarchy in the Arena at Double or Nothing. I think this is someone that AEW could really strap a rocket to if they want to.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of Willow's greatest qualities is just that her personality, her positivity is just infectious. It really is. Like when you meet her, when you see her in real time, real life, you're just drawn to her. She's just one of those people that has that ability to do. And, she doesn't necessarily have the standard, look of like a pro wrestler. It's a little different. It's a little unique, but just her personality is so infectious. You have to pay attention to her. You have to be invested in what she's doing because she just pulls you in. She reels you in every single time. And I think that's what's special about her more than anything else.
I think that she is probably one of my favorite talents to talk to, one of my favorite talents to watch, because how many true, straightforward baby faces are out there in wrestling these days? There are very few that are as straight up white meat babyface as Willow Nightingale is, who actually get cheered, because it's really hard to get cheered as a pure babyface in wrestling in 2025, I feel like.
Yeah, I mean, but her energy and just her persona is so authentic. She's so genuine, and it's hard not to be invested in her. She's just so real. She comes off as so real, and you can tell she is not performing a character. She's just being her, and her energy is infectious.
Authenticity always sells, and I think in her case, she's the prime example of that. Mentioned she'll probably be involved in the main event of Double or Nothing. We got the 2 Owen Hart finals. We got Will Ospreay and Hangman, and we got Jamie Hayter and Mercedes Moné. The winners of each will go on to challenge Jon Moxley and Tony Storm, respectively, at AEW All In, the biggest show of the year. Let's make your picks, man. Who you got winning those 2 matches? Let's start with Ospreay and Hangman.
Man, I love the stuff that Adam Page has been doing. I do love it a lot, but I almost feel like they are ready to pull the trigger on Will Ospreay. I mean, he's a TK guy through and through and through and through. You know, he's going to be the flag bearer for the company. He is the flag bearer for the company. When you see him promoting the company, he's all about AEW, and he's all about it's where the best wrestle, and he takes a lot of pride in that. So I would say it's going to be Will Ospreay versus Jon Moxley.
Okay, what about on the ladies' end? Jamie Hayter and Mercedes Moné.
Going to be very interesting because I could see this going either way too. But I think I'm going to have to roll with Mercedes Moné on this one. I think I'm going to have to give Mercedes the call in this one.
Mercedes has not taken a singles loss in AEW yet to date. She is the TBS champion. So if that were to be the case, it would be her versus Toni Storm in a title for title match, presumably. Mm-hmm. And then, as you alluded to, Will Ospreay and Jon Moxley. I agree with you. I think those are how both of those are going to play out. I do think Hangman and Swerve are probably going to end up uniting together as a tag team at All In, which is a really fun story to tell. Mm-hmm. I would think against the Young Bucks too.
Yeah.
Which is a really good story. So lots of history between those two entities. We'll find out what happens. You were watching Collision at your hotel, I hear, and all of a sudden the feed went out. Went full AEW Collision, beware of dog.
Yeah. And you know what? Beware of dog. I was there. Actually, I was physically in the building when all that went down, when there were terrible storms. It was in Spartanburg, South Carolina. We were booked there as extras. We'd driven down that day, and I was there when all that chaos was going down. So it's very funny. You know, when I'm here, I don't get to keep up with wrestling like I would like to, because if I'm at home, I'm typically inundated with children and doing stuff with them and family, whatever else. So I'm at the hotel, right? I'd finished the signing. We're done. It's about 7:00, 7:30. I go, I get some food. I'm setting up to eat something a little bit later. I actually go to the pool a little bit just to kind of like stretch out and swim a little bit and loosen up my joints in my back from a long day of standing. And I'm like, oh, damn, Collision zone. I'll check out some Collision. I flip it to Collision as I'm there. Now we're about 9:00, right? And I'm sitting there and I'm eating, enjoying what I'm watching. And I'm like, okay, well, let me go ahead and shower because I'm gonna get ready for bed. I got an early call time tomorrow, right? So then I go get in the shower, and when I come out, it's like almost 9:30, and it's no longer on. Black Adam is on. I'm like, what happened? Why is Collision gone?
Dwayne decided that they needed to push more views on TBS, so he got him kicked off.
God. Did Tony Khan sell his soul to The Rock? maybe he's back to the buying the soul business. I don't know.
Yeah, that did happen. Tell us about Beware of Dog. What do you remember about that night?
I just remember that it was a robot storm, and the truck, there was an issue between thunder and lightning, and the power went out, and they lost the feed because of these storms, because it was storming so bad. It was really, like when you're at home or you're at work or wherever you're at, and there's like a violent storm outside with thunder and lightning. It was one of those where it was like as violent as it could possibly be, and it shut down the whole feed, and they lost the feed of the show.
That was during the very memorable, which they ended up reshooting, strap match between Stone Cold and Savio Vega. That all that went down. And there's a story that Bruce Pritchard has told on his podcast that the crew's freaking out. They don't know what to do, but Vince is on commentary, keep in mind. And Bruce runs down to the ring, and he's expecting Vince to just be losing his absolute shit, right?
Uh-huh.
The feed's off the air. But he said that Vince was so entranced in the strap match between Austin and Savio that he was basically just like, damn, pal, this is a match.
He was enamored.
He was enamored. And he
was enamored.
Isn't that crazy? You'd think that Vince would be but there's nothing they could have done about it. Like the power went out. The storm had its effect on the arena. So
that's funny.
Yeah.
The fact that Vince was enamored at the strap match is just pretty mind blowing, especially considering if he had, if he's heard the circumstances, just knowing how much of a high stress individual he is. You figured he'd be going nuts. He'd be off commentary.
Maybe Vince was one of the sickos that night.
Maybe he was.
He just couldn't get enough.
Yeah,
needed that wrestling.
There you have it. Maybe he was. Maybe he was a sicko. Maybe he'd have been very happy that we were transparent about Jeff not being able to go to Canada. We didn't injure him this time. You know, he would have loved it.
Saturday night's main event coming up as well. R-Truth and John Cena, Jey Uso and Logan Paul. What do you think about those two matches?
I like the John Cena Truth match a lot, just because how Truth always said he grew up watching John Cena. He's always been his hero. They've always had this unique relationship, right? So I think that'll be interesting, especially coming off the clips I've seen from the Randy Cena match. Basically, R-Truth came out and like protected John Cena from getting punted, right? And then that ended up kind of costing Randy the match when it was all said and done. And then when R-Truth came out and said something to him in the scrum or the post show press conference, he puts him through the table. So I like the fact that they're doing this little sideline story, especially on a Saturday night's main event. I'm cool with that. The Logan Paul Jey Uso thing is going to be very interesting. I think it's a chance for both of those guys to really prove how good they are. Like, Jay as a champion, can he go out and lead Logan Paul to a great match? And Logan Paul is someone who kind of has to rely a lot more on knowing what he's doing ahead of time, kind of making some premeditated choices as far as how the match is going to go. Is he going to be able to really show out with Jey Uso? So I'm curious of that match and see how it turns out.
Also, the tag match between Seth Rollins, Braun Breaker, CM Punk, and Sami Zayn. CM Punk got one hell of a reaction on Raw this week, and man, I'll tell you, if you're following
that match will be hot. It'll be great. Like, you know, regardless of if you love Punk or you hate Punk, Punk's doing great work right now. He's white hot with what he's doing.
I'm a little worried about the idea of Sami Zayn potentially turning heel. That is not something that I want to see. And I hope that it doesn't happen, but when business is hot, you can often afford to try things, see if they stick. And I don't know. To me, man, Sami Zayn should be one of those Willow Nightingale baby faces the rest of his career. Just he's the baby face. And I have no interest in really seeing him turn, even though he is one of the most dynamic performers in wrestling. He can do anything. He really is. He is also someone that is very authentic. And I enjoy listening to Sami Zayn when he starts speaking. And it's so wild how you think about he was generico for the longer time, like with the mask and not really a personality, but he's just like blossomed into this just incredible personality. He's so good at what he does. Dude, Vince didn't have him wrestle for like 3 years. Vince had him as a manager for 3 years. It's crazy. Here we are. Wild. Oh, man. Well, we are here to talk about a very interesting topic this week, a match that I don't even think we've ever talked about. I barely remembered this match existing. In fact, we're going to call it the Lost Hardy Boyz match because it's a match that a lot of you probably haven't even seen. And that's because we just celebrated the anniversary of this match earlier this month. It would have been the 23rd anniversary of this match.
Says the net.
This month, says the net, which was you and Jeff versus Brock Lesnar and Shawn Stasiak at Insurrextion 2002, a UK only pay-per-view. We're going to talk about some of the stories around that because it was part of a very infamous wrestling moment and occurrence. So that's going to be our episode this week. But before we can, you know what I got to ask, my friend. Please hit us with that Matt fact.
Matt fact: Matt often overpays workers to test their character.
Interesting. A lot of workers aren't getting overpaid these days. So if Matt Hardy's funneling the money, they'll gladly take it. What's the context here?
So I just thought about this. I was like, God, I've done this before in the past, and this should totally be a Matt fact. And it just struck me. So we had the plumbing guy we used to always book was the contractor now who built our original house. He's retired. The contractor who did our extension to the house whenever we added on our additions, he had a plumber that we used, and now that guy's no longer here. So we had a new guy come in and do plumbing. There was a problem in the kids' bathroom, and then one of the upstairs bathrooms, there was like rust and a part of it needed to be changed and a new faucet put in. So we had these new plumbers come out, right? And we sit there and they just said, Rebby had got a quote for whatever it was. It was $865, $870 something. And then they said, oh, well, it's $930 or whatever. And she says, hey, I thought you said it was this. And he said, oh, sorry, I didn't include tax whenever I did that. But I was already counting out money, right? And I was just like, we're going to pay cash, counting out money, doing that. And then it was $865. And I said, okay. And I threw 2 extra 20s in there with an extra 40. And I said, here you go. Go ahead and count it and just make sure that's right. And they sat there and he counted in front of me. Boom, 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 boom. And then he said, well, there's 40 too much. I said, oh, sorry, my bad. I probably still had it in there because I was initially counting that 900 and some. So it was 905 as opposed to 865, whatever it may have been. But once again, that made me think as soon as I got counted it and he was honest, like, here you go, here's that money back. Then I'm always good to bring him back the next time.
There you go. It's a little test.
You know what I mean? It's a test of their character. Just to see where they're at. Someone who's really good with that is Tony Hunter. Whenever we do our meet, greet, and deletes, he's always running those things. Anytime someone pays him, if they overpay him, he's super honest, even if they don't know. And they're so excited they're doing this. He's like, oh, you gave me 20 too much, bro. He does it constantly all the time because people are all excited they're about to meet Jeff and I, which I really dig that. And I appreciate that. I appreciate that honesty.
It's hard to find honest work these days, isn't it?
It is. It's hard to find honest work, and it's hard to find, it's hard to find good, honest people too. So it's sometimes we had to go through a bunch of, we've done this time to time, especially with 4 kids, where my wife would try and get someone to come in every couple of weeks to like clean up the house because these kids they're a fucking whirlwind every day. Right. So there's always stuff everywhere and, and freaks her out. So we had to go.
Can you come in the mail with me?
Can I come what?
In the mail with me.
Come in the where?
The mail with me.
Oh, come get the mail?
With me.
Well, I can't right now because I'm doing my podcast. Yeah. Do you want to say hi? Stick your head in here. Stick your pretty head. Say hi, wave. Hi. All right, I'll come do the mail with you when I finish, okay? High five. High five. Oh, so hard. All right, see you in a little bit, baby. Close the door. And we went through some different people that we used to try and clean the house, right, and do that. And like there was no one that was ever dishonest, but some people just didn't do great jobs, and just some. Rebby's pretty particular too. She's pretty tough when it comes to those choices and whatnot. And we finally found some people that are great, and they've been doing it for a couple years now. So it's always interesting whenever you're trying to get someone to come out and work on your house or take care of stuff, and especially if you're going to be spending a lot of money, you really need someone I feel like that has a good character and you can trust, and you feel like they're being very straightforward with you.
It's hard to find honest work, but it won't be hard to get hard with Blue Chew, Matt Hardy. Because it's time to have better sex with Blue Chew. Blue Chew is the original brand offering chewable tablets for better sex. It's starting now. Blue Chew is doing a combo that's so strong it's going to knock your socks off and your neighbor's socks off. You're going to have to move towns with the amount of noise you'll be making. Blue Chew Max has arrived, and it combines the active ingredients of Viagra and Cialis into one chewable form. The combo acts fast, and yes, it lasts. Guys, be ready when they need it and get your first month of Blue Chew absolutely free. Great sex is just a few clicks away. Sign up at bluechew.com. Consult with their licensed medical providers, and once you're approved, you're going to receive your prescription within days. Blue Chew tablets are made in the USA and prepared and shipped directly to your door. No tariffs here. This is all made in the USA. The best part, it's all done online. That means no visits to the doctor's office, no awkward conversations, and no waiting in line at the pharmacy. This is more horsepower than you've ever needed to mow on the mower of lawns at the Hardy compound, isn't it?
And I'll tell you what, John, Blue Chew is something that is worth overpaying for, even if it's $20, $40. You never know, because I can tell you, when it comes to Blue Chew, it's solid, and you, my friend, will be solid as well.
Well, thankfully, you don't have to overpay for Blue Chew because we're going to make life easier for you. We're going to help you get harder and discover your options at bluechew.com. We got a special deal for our listeners. Try your first month of Blue Chew for not $20, not $40, for free when you use promo code HARDY. Just pay $5 shipping. That's promo code HARDY, HARDY. Visit bluechew.com for more details and important safety information. And we thank Blue Chew for sponsoring The Extreme Life of Matt Hardy.
What a gift. With Blue Chew, you're underpaying. Actually, you're not paying. Jesus Christ.
Oh, certainly so. All right, man. So we did an episode. You can go back in the archives. It's our Brock Lesnar episode, extremehardy.com, where we talked about how you guys were kind of tasked with being one of Brock's first feuds on the main roster. And for those who may have missed that episode, why don't you catch us up? Why do you think you guys were paired with Brock out of the gates?
I think we were paired with Brock out of the gates because they trusted us. They knew that we understood the mission. He was a guy that they saw huge potential in. They thought he was going to be a long-term top talent, and they just trusted myself and Jeff in being with him. They thought we wouldn't take advantage of him. They thought we would work hard for him. They thought we would bump for him, but they thought we would also lead him if he needed leadership in certain ways. And I think that's why, we ended up being paired with Brock Lesnar right in the beginning. We ended up being married for quite a while earlier on. And I know the first few years he was there, I ended up working with him on and off quite a bit. And I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed working with Brock a lot.
What'd you make of the pairing of he and Paul Heyman? Heyman was gone from WWE TV after the Alliance angle ended, and he ends up coming back as Brock Lesnar's advocate here and leading the way for him, trying to inject a little bit of equity into Brock.
I thought it was great. I mean, there's no better motivational speaker for your character, for if you're a talent, than Paul Heyman. If you have Paul Heyman on your side and he believes in you, I mean, he is going to talk people in the building. He is going to make you a bigger star. He is so good at what he does. I mean, he can convince people to do anything. I mean, Paul Heyman is the guy that convinced people in ECW to go out and, beat the shit out of themselves each and every night for hardly no money. Sometimes they were owed a bunch of money and they would still do that. Paul Heyman is very good. He has a golden tongue and he knows how to talk people into the building.
Did you guys have any working relationship with Paul?
I mean, I got to work with Paul when he was booking, doing SmackDown. He was had a pretty prominent position in like how the influence of creative went when I was doing the Matt Hardy version 1 character. And I really enjoyed working with him on those certain times there. I remember there was that time where he thought whenever I was going to have that program with Edge, which was going to be something that elevate me, but then it ended up going to A-Train as opposed to me. And that's where Paul's like, well, I'd be very disappointed if I was you because this is unfair. You've done such great work and you've worked so hard, and then I ended up getting almost, it was supposed to be like a consolation prize, the Cruiserweight title deal where I had a run and then I was going to have a program with Rey Mysterio. And I just tried to make the most out of that. But Paul was great to work with. And he believed in me whenever I was doing the whole Matt Hardy version 1 thing. So I appreciated that.
I was going to say, he understood the gimmick.
Yeah. He understood what I was doing.
Okay, cool.
I mean, you can tell too, like if you go back and watch the vignettes I did where Brock was feuding with Taker and I would come in and go, hey, Brock, don't worry about it. I'll take care of Taker tonight and I'll do this and I'll do that and I'll do that. Paul's like, mate, he's got it. And then as soon as I walk off, he's like, Jesus Christ, he's delusional. You know what? He knew totally how to react to what I was doing. I'm there. Let me talk all my trash. Let me talk my delusion. And then as soon as I leave, then you can tell Brock, like, Jesus Christ, this guy's crazy, but he's here to help us, So he got it.
So you guys are paired with them and you're working and you're building up to a match at Judgment Day later in the month against Paul and Brock, a very unique match, which we did talk about on the last podcast. But we didn't talk about this one, which takes place early in the month of May because it is Insurrextion. This is the final event under the WWF umbrella on May 4th at the Wembley Arena in London. It's the first Raw exclusive pay-per-view. Talk about what the company was trying to do here with these shows, because I remember, man, as a fan this time, your only access to pay-per-views, if you didn't buy them live, was waiting for them to come out on VHS, right? And they didn't market Insurrextion or Rebellion to the U.S. audience. They were only marketed overseas. And I'd remember Blockbuster would get Insurrextion 2002, and I'd be like, wait, what's this? This is cool. This is different. I don't remember this show. How did that all work to your recollection?
It's interesting. Now that you even say that, I just wonder, would I have no idea. What year was this? This was 02, right? So I wonder where technology was at that time. Like, would it have been super expensive to have the pay-per-view and air it in the US. I mean, I don't know where we were. I just do know, I do remember it being a, an exclusive pay-per-view for, going over the pond. But one thing that I do remember is that when we first started with WWE, we were doing 10 days on and 4 days off, and we were grinding. We would, start with TVs. We would make sure to take TVs for the following week, and then it'd be house show, 350 miles between each town or either a flight. And, we were busting our asses, man. And it was so busy, but we didn't do any European stuff for the first few years. And I think at 2002, they were at that point where maybe even a little before that, they're like, okay, well, I think US business might slow down a little bit now, especially after 9/11. We probably need to start working on Europe and building up our audience there, making sure it's strong again. And, we obviously started those long European tours back. That became a tradition. So I just remember it was really unique when we were going to Europe because we didn't do that. Like in 98, we were on the road. 99, in 2000, it was like a rarity to go to Europe, and then that became like something that was a very commonplace later on. So I would guess they were having those pay-per-views over there to just like remind the audience, like, hey, you get us on TV, we're WWF, soon to be WWE, and we're going to come to Europe and we're going to do a show for you, and we'll probably be doing a lot more in the future. So make sure to support WWE.
Well, and two, by making it a premium event like a pay-per-view, you're telling the audience, hey, anything can happen in the World Wrestling Federation, right, pal? Like, this is something that you need to be at, you need to buy. And even though these were more like broadcast house shows, more or less, they still had a little bit of a premium undertone to it. Is that correct?
Yeah. I mean, that's a pretty fair assessment. I feel like if you're just, the term that you hate, a casual fan, it seems like a real big deal. But if you're like a fan that is in the know, you realize it's kind of like, a glorified house show with a couple real big matches on it.
Yeah. And this is a 9-match card altogether. It's actually Mr. Perfect's last match in WWE, and we'll explain why in a little bit. He defeats Goldust on it. But just going through the card, RVD versus Eddie Guerrero, Trish Stratus and Jacqueline versus Molly Holly.
That wasn't Mr. Perfect's last match.
It wasn't?
Nope. I was his last match.
Oh, were you?
Because when we came back, he had heat from the plane flight.
Okay.
And then he went out and put over a Matt Hardy in a one-on-one match.
Oh, and then it worked. Okay. Well, this is his last pay-per-view match, we'll say then. Then Trish Jackie versus Molly Holly and Jazz, X-Pac and Bradshaw, Booker T and Stevie Richards, you guys versus Brock and Shawn Stasiak, Spike Dudley versus William Regal, Stone Cold versus The Big Show, and Triple H versus The Undertaker. So that is what's going on at this time here. And we're going to dig into this a little bit. I want to watch this match because you're on the build to the Judgment Day match, but Shawn Stasiak is going to get integrated to make this a proper tag match with he and Brock versus the Hardy Boyz. Stasiak has an early run in WWE. It's a very unique period of time for him that he's coming up in the industry. He gets signed 1998. He is going through the Funkin' Dojo. Do you remember working with him at the dojo?
We were there with him. We traveled with him, and we kind of got to meet. We met him and got to know him pretty well during that time. He was an interesting cat, man. There were times where whenever we would finish training for the week and we would do house shows on the weekends, we'd go do independent shots all around, Mass and wherever it may be, New York. We rode with him a couple times, and he had this band and song that he loved that was called Head, and he would just shout out Head, and he would want to play that song over and over. He was a real nice guy, just very, very quirky, very strange, peculiar in some ways in some of his actions. But I mean, for what it was worth, he was a nice guy.
You had a chance to meet.
I did not meet. I met Meat as it goes that way because he was Meat during his run. That is right. But Head is who I feel like he invested the most in. I feel like his name should have been Head more than Meat because there was a song that he loved.
Al Snow had that gimmick. You can.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Yes, he's christened as Meat, the boy toy for PMS.
Yeah.
The Pretty Mean Sisters, of course. And then
That is so attitude era, just through
you
and
think?
through and through and
Which
through.
Vince is that? Is that McMahon or Russo, do you think?
That sounds like a Russo.
I
PMS,
agree.
especially.
I agree.
Yeah, that sounds like a Russo call.
I agree.
I feel like I remember Russo kind of spearheading a lot of those vignettes and whatnot. So that was definitely one of his pet projects.
Yeah. He is Kurt Angle's debut match at Survivor Series. He loses to him there. And then about a month later, he's suspended and then eventually fired for recording a conversation in a car ride between Davey Boy Smith and Steve Blackman. What do you remember about that?
Oh, I'll never forget that day. I'll never forget being at the house show, being at the live event, and Davey Boy and Steve Blackman pull up, and they're just going to everybody in the dressing room, and they're telling them the story. They said, like, we're driving. This kid said, like, this kid said he wanted to ride with us and pick our brains and, learn as much as he could while he was in the, the car ride. And he said he keeps asking all these questions, like these really weird questions, like personal questions and questions about this and that, and just stuff that seems so strange. And then after we talked to him for a little while, it sounded like he was messing with something in his jacket or in his coat, and said they went and pulled the car over and they searched him, and he had a recorder, just like an audio recorder, and he was recording their conversations. And then they booted him out of the car, and they said, well, you just find your own way to the town, brother, in the middle of nowhere. So yeah, they were definitely telling everyone about that story. I mean, that's pretty much as much info as I heard. I never heard Shawn Stasiak's side of it, but still, it's a crazy story. It's pretty suspect, to be in there and be secretly recording a conversation you're trying to have with people, especially if it sounds like you're asking incriminating questions. So I don't know, but I do know they came and they told that story over and over and over in the dressing room, and ultimately that led to Shawn Stasiak leaving WWE.
You don't say. Well, he goes to WCW for a bit. He returns during the Invasion angle. And here he is in 2002, finding his way somehow into a tag match with you guys. Do you remember how this came about?
I don't. I just remember one of the explanations we were given. It said, oh, the match you have coming up against Brock and Paul Heyman, we want to have another tag match where, you guys can be victorious, just to build this other one. And it's funny, you just buzzed me before we went on here. You said this really wasn't even seen in the US. So I guess at least we were promoting it to the European audience.
Like I said, kind of glorified house show on pay-per-view. So you want to give some of the baby faces an opportunity to shine. And, I haven't watched this match probably since I caught wind of it 23 years ago, but my gut tells me, Matt, that Brock Lesnar's not taking the fall in it. So I guess we're going to find out here as we watch it.
That seems pretty presumptive of you, John.
Well, do you want to watch it and find out?
Yeah, let's watch. I don't think I've ever watched this match.
Okay. All right. Well,
to be clear,
let's check it out right now. Okay, man. We have Insurrextion 2002 pulled up. This is the end of the promo segment, which I can't air for you guys, between Brock Lesnar, Paul Heyman, and Shawn Stasiak of Planet Stasiak, by the way, which is basically his cuckoo gimmick. And he's excited to tag with Brock, but Paul Heyman wants nothing to do with that. He says, you're going to stand on the apron as Brock is going to win this match, and you're never even going to tag in. My gut says, Matt Hardy, that's probably not how this thing is going to play out. What do you think?
I don't know, John. Just let it play out, brother.
Okay, we are going to let it play out. So if you're watching this, hold up right there. Because it's all different platforms, I can't give you a time code, but we are going to start in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And here come the Hardy Boys as Shawn Stasiak talks to himself.
There we go. There's our people.
UK
There's
crowd
our
very
people in the
excited to see
UK.
Hardy. Oh, yeah.
Standing up. Look at that. We got a little glow in the dark going on there.
You always enjoy working the UK?
Yeah. I mean, the UK was always fun. I mean, sometimes when you would do those 2-week tours, they were a little long and lengthy, but just going over, especially doing these shots, these were like our early shots. And these people are a lot of people are probably seeing us for the very first time, which ended up being a big deal.
Hey, I just saw a Planet Stasiak sign, so it's over.
Yeah. There's one in every crowd, brother.
Tell me about this little jersey that you're wearing. I remember this merch. Is that a you idea? It looks like your old UNC jerseys with the Hardy Boyz logo.
I want to tell you that I feel like we would rock UNC jerseys, and some, you know, like basketball jerseys or different jerseys. And they got that idea. They said, what if we did a Hardy Boyz jersey like in that? Would you guys like to wear it? I said, oh, hell yeah, man. We would wear that. And I know Jeff, who was doing motocross then and still loved it. They made those motocross jerseys, the long sleeve jerseys, which were in theory like motocross jerseys.
That's cool. That's cool.
Those things they did really well too. They did really well for us.
We're near the end of the Hardy Boyz here, so that's why I was curious how they rolled that out. I mean, look how big Brock looks. This is crazy how big he looks.
Monster.
Swole.
He definitely is, man. He is a unique human being. He's a one of one, man. Especially from a physical perspective, just the athletic ability he has, the explosiveness, just the strength, the power, the way he could move. It was Jesus Christ. He was a one of one, man.
And here comes Shawn Stasiak running from behind. And he's going right at it. So again, he's ignoring the advice already.
Well, at least he didn't tag in though. So at least he just ran in first. So maybe he'll get a reprieve.
I mean, we're starting this match here already. I think that's a kind of a fun way to start if you're going to pair a comedy character with Brock. You like,
yeah, no doubt. Oh, there you go. He's talking to the aliens from his planet.
Yeah, the voices.
He's
Planet
the original
Stasiak.
Randy Orton.
Have you ever been to Planet Stasiak?
I have not, unfortunately, or fortunately.
I was going to say, I think it's more fortunate. Love me a good sidewalk slam, though. I mean, we're getting some heat on Jeff right out of the gates, thanks to Planet Stasiak.
Yeah, I think we're gonna have I would guess right here what you're gonna see, and I have no recollection of this. I don't know what we're doing at all. He's gonna just stop Jeff for just a second. Jeff's gonna stop him. There's gonna be a little comeback, a shine on this Stasiak, and then Brock's gonna get in. Let me see. Yep. Okay, this is just what I was guessing. Boom, boom, boom. You'll see me fire up. There'll be a little bit of a comeback here, and then we'll double up on him a little bit, and somehow Brock will get in, and that's when the real heat will start.
Okay. Quick side effect. Right out of the gates. Here we go. I think I've seen this before.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Look at that. Brock coming to the aid of Shawn Stasiak. And
he just did it so he could tag himself in.
Correct. Exactly.
Look at me. I'm swinging for the fences with Brock. I knew I always had to.
Yeah. Was he someone who was cool with you just laying it in? Obviously, we've seen the chair shots.
Yeah. I mean, as long as you were safe with him, you know, I have that. Really, the only time I've ever hurt anyone with the chair was Brock, which I still feel terrible about. And that was that time whenever we were coming down during the whole Big Show thing. And I was Matt Hardy version 1. But whenever I was, you know, in here working with Brock, like he was fine. If you laid it in, you were aggressive and physical, because he was a very physical human being too. He was great, man. Like he had a, you know, great, just everything about him was so natural when it came to pro wrestling.
I was going to say, did it feel like you're working with a rookie here?
In some ways, you know, I feel like you need to kind of calm him down and make him slow down a little bit at sometimes. But there's so many little things that he just did. Like, for instance, that backbreaker, when he grabbed me and he picked me up just like to add extra velocity and then dropped me over his knee. Like he was just gifted with doing so many things like that. He would give you an F5, and then if your face was near you, he'd shove you away and just look vicious. And he was just such a natural at pro wrestling.
A referee is Jimmy Corderas here.
And see, like here, I think this is, I mean, like that pace that he was just working at is the pace that Brock needs to be working at.
Slow things down a bit and just breathe.
Yeah. I mean, just because he's so big and he's so strong and so devastating. It's just like, if you're there going a million miles an hour, then you know, your strength and, you know, your power loses a lot of its meaning. It's
almost weird seeing Brock do wrestling moves after, his whole style since he came back in 2012 was pretty much just punches, kicks, and suplexes. And now You see him do a power slam and the backbreaker. He changed his style so much. You know, coming out of the UFC, it probably makes sense to do that.
It does. And also too, like it's just easier on his body too. So I mean, honestly, if you're out there and people are, if they're picking up what you're putting down, if they're buying what you're selling, then like, yeah, man, go with the stuff that's going to give your body the most longevity.
You are taking quite a bit of heat here from Brock Lesnar. Meat wants back in, bro.
What's that?
Meat wants back in.
Oh, I'm sure he does. Yes. I was just going to say, Paul Heyman was just so good. He was such a good coach for Brock too. You know, even as we talk about things and, you know, we would like have a certain idea about how we were going to do a spot. And then Paul would say, well, I think, you know, maybe you should do it like this, put this slant on it. I think this would fit your character and the way you look and kind of the monster you are a little better. Like Paul was such a great coach for Brock too.
Is he shouting some real instructions from ringside to a guy like Brock at this point, do you think?
He's probably not shouting a lot. Like usually when he would coach him, it would be before the match, you know, just like Brock's like, I'm doing this. Like, Paul, how do you think it would be the best? What's the best way to do this? You know what I mean? And like, Paul would always give him great insight.
Oh boy. Is Brock going to make a charge here?
Uh-oh.
He does. And I
Brock,
think I
Brock
know what's
was
coming.
always so good at the shoulder to the pole.
Stasiak knows he's not supposed to tag in, but
he's doing a great job of selling that. That's really, Shawn's doing really great there.
He's trying to tell Brock to get up, but he tags in.
Oh boy! Oh, he went to the planet Stasiak gods. They misled him. Look at Jeff with that flashy front flip in.
This is very house showy, but it's very fun. It's very fun.
Young, healthy brother Nero.
Still doing the same comeback.
Yeah, he's just added to it a little more. And it's a little stiffer.
A little stiffer. A little more.
Jesus Christ. I mean, the agility, that agility, like, I mean, he paused for a second at the top. When he would initially do that whisper in the wind when he was young, man, his agility was just off the chart.
That's Sabu influence, bro.
Running up the ropes like that was just crazy.
Oh. Bandera.
Oh.
Just like the old Funkin' Dojo days, baby.
Here we go, yeah. It's just like we're making the town in Revere, brother.
Look at all those flash bulbs. What do you know?
There you have it.
Shawn Stasiak eats the pin, and here comes Brock Lesnar.
Here comes Brock to destroy everyone.
He's pissed off, and you're going for the ride now? And he promised Shawn Stasiak he'd take him to Planet Stasiak. Brutal.
Yeah.
Spinebuster kicks him.
He's got to be getting an F5 too.
I would think so. Oh no!
Oh, he's going to get the spinning power bombs.
This is when Brock. No, he was doing the. He did the spinning power bomb.
Yeah.
And brutal. Oh. Goodness. Didn't see that too much from Brock after this, but there is your match.
See that was done well because like Brock didn't lose anything there. Obviously, you know, like he actually gained. Brock gained in that because he just looked like an absolute monster. And, you know, we won because we go out there and we get a win over a team that contains Brock Lesnar and Shawn Stasiak. So the Hardys look cool because we defeat them. But then he comes in, he drops everybody with their finish, and his partner who didn't listen to his very distinct directions, he drops him as well. So yeah, Brock ended up winning.
What do you think of the match itself?
It was fun. It was fun. Fun for what it was. It was very, very much like you know, something you would see on a house show in many ways. And I think these events, because the crowd was so hungry, you know, so starved for WWE entertainment because they hadn't had it in many, many years, you know, it made it a lot easier. And, one thing that is good about WWE, and one thing that I do agree on. I mean, if you can go out and you can entertain the crowd by telling a story, there was a pretty good storytelling in that match. I feel like, considering the promo we had leading into it, like, hey,
It's
don't
a very
take in.
easy to follow story. Very
Yeah.
easy to follow.
Very easy to follow story. And if you can go out and follow the story and have a match where you don't kill one another and the crowd is still like, on the edge of their seat and they're jumping up and down and they're ecstatic and they're happy, they're fulfilled, and hey man, you've done your job. And it's great.
Call me a member of a citizen of planet Stasiak, if you will. But something tells me if you did something like that in 2025, it could probably get over.
No, 100%, 100%. It can. It just you have to. You just also have to. You have to precondition the audience to what this character is willing to do, how he's willing to act, and once you start performing a character, you just have to stay consistent. There has to be a lot of continuity, and if you can keep consistency and continuity, and people understand what you're doing, then yeah, man, you can get away with a lot of cool stuff. Just by telling stories.
Planet Stasiak would fit right in the broken universe.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt. No doubt.
He's a chiropractor these days.
Yeah, no, I know. I mean, I've seen him. I saw him. The last time I saw him, it was forever ago. But he was somewhere in Texas, and I can't remember if it was a WWE show or AEW show. Maybe it was an AEW show. He showed up and was backstage for a little bit and saw him. He just said that he was a chiropractor and he was doing well and, staying busy doing that.
Now, I do got to ask, we've briefly talked about it before, but on the way back from this trip is the infamous plane ride from hell that leads to several departures, including Mr. Perfect, as we alluded to before. There have been a lot of things done on this, a Dark Side of the Ring done on this. What do you remember to the best of your abilities about that flight home?
I just remember it was a flight full of chaos and just a lot of different incidents that were, just you had a lot of guys that were there and they had an open bar and they were drinking, and a lot of people just letting it out of hand. I mean, that's what happened more than anything else. I think people have heard the stories over and over. I do know when the whole thing was going on with Kurt Hennig and Brock, Kurt was just saying that, he'd trained Brock and, he's still good enough that he could beat Brock if he wanted to. And they were going back and forth. And there was a point where they were tussling back and forth, and someone said, look, you guys need to shake hands and put an end to this so it doesn't happen anymore. And I'll never forget, I was right by where they were. They shook hands, and then Brock was barefoot on the plane, or he probably wasn't barefoot, but he had his shoes off, right? And he had socks on, and Kurt did have shoes on. And I remember they shook hands, and Kurt stomped the shit out of his toe, and Brock's like, you motherfucker, and went after him, and there were people in between, and he ended up driving him. I was
near where the stewardess would typically be, where they have refreshments and drinks and snacks and stuff. And Brock tackled Kurt Hennig, and they drove past us into the wall, but it was where the emergency exit door was. And it was just it kind of came right through where me and Taker were. We were talking a couple other guys, and it hit it so hard, and just everybody locked and made eye contact, holy shit, that was terrifying. It'd be virtually impossible to open that door from the inside, but still, just the fact that was happening on this plane. So that was a big incident. And that's where they finally shut that down for good. But we were talking about this whole thing. Kurt got the TV that day, and he came up to me and said, Hey, Matt, they've got me working with you tonight. We're on Heat. We're the main event of Sunday Night Heat. He said, and they said, we want this kid to beat you with his two finishes. We want the leg drop off the ropes, and then we want him to do the twist of fate. He said, so I said, fuck them. They think they're trying to fuck with me. You have that other move, that side effect thing. I want you to do 3 finishes. Hit the side effect, and then hit the leg drop, and then hit the twist of fate. I'll show them. And we had that match, and I'm very proud that I got to work that one-on-one match with him. That was cool. Mr. Perfect was one of my guys. I thought he was absolutely incredible. And lo and behold, that was his last match in WWE.
Crazy. I mean, was the flight as bad as people insinuate that it was, and as chaotic, or is that overblown?
To normal human beings, yeah, it was definitely overblown. To a wrestling locker room in that time during the Wild Wild West, it was, it was another overnight Saturday night flight in some ways. But
it was chaotic. You know, there's some stuff that I wasn't present for the whole while. I remember we eventually got to a point where enough chaos had gone on. It was just like, I'm going to sit down and go to sleep and have that done. But it was very chaotic. There was so much chaotic stuff going on. Bradshaw had gigged real bad. And I remember Michael Hayes was back and he'd had a few to drink. That might be shocking, but I'll never forget. He got stitched up. Bradshaw did. And Michael Hayes punched him in the head and split him back open. He got a bunch of heat there. He was overheated. They told Michael to go to sleep. He eventually passed out. He ended up getting his hair cut. And I'll never forget how angry Michael was that morning when he woke up and his hair was cut. And I do remember X-Pac coming over to me and Jeff specifically, and he woke us up. There were a couple other guys with him too. He said, hey, I know Michael Hayes is like your mentor and everything, but I got to ask you, like, you guys cool with this? And he like took his hair, a long lock of his hair, and like set it down in front of us. And I said, I mean, I haven't seen anything. And that was like my response to it. I haven't seen anything. So it was chaotic though, man. I know the Ric Flair stuff ended up being real bad, and he was doing stuff he shouldn't have been doing, especially to people who were flight attendants. But that stuff, a lot of stuff, I was out and asleep for a lot of that stuff towards the end. But it was a chaotic flight, man. It was very chaotic. Like a normal, regular, everyday person would think this was an insane asylum in the air.
The Wild West, as you often say.
No doubt, man.
Anything else you want to add about this Lost Hardy Boyz match here?
No, that was cool. Like I did not remember it well at all, but I enjoyed the little story we told in it. I think everybody won in it. Even Shawn Stasiak won, because it just by, you know, bucking the system and not listening to Brock Lesnar, I thought there was a lot of great character development for him. I thought that was a really well-booked wrestling match where everybody looked good in it.
I'm with you. I really enjoyed it. I'm glad we got to watch it together. And we do this all the time, guys. You check out our archives and you head on over to advertisewithhardy.com. You get your business out in front of thousands of listeners and viewers every single week. Promote your business to the extreme with advertisewithhardy.com. Oh, boy. We are headed to Kowloon. We're headed to Limitless Wrestling in August. We got more stuff to announce for the summer coming up as well. It's going to be the summer of Matt Hardy. And we're going to have a ton of fun here on the Extreme Life and everywhere beyond. I know we've been going for like 6 hours, so we got to wrap up here, but is there anything that you'd like to add for the die-hardies out there? And I know you got to catch the mail with Gothic Baby as well, so I don't want to hold you up.
Well, to all the die-hardies, especially my lovely Canadian die-hardies, very excited to be returning up to Canada. And we will be in Brampton on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. On Friday, I'm really excited about this match with myself and Leon Slater, a guy who Jeff and I really have invested a lot in, and we really want to see this guy rise. I think Leon Slater can be a huge star in the future for pro wrestling. So we're really excited for him, and I'm excited to be teaming with him, and I'm excited to see how this match turns out against the Nimitz. And it'd be really interesting just to see how Jeff felt if we did win the titles. Would Jeff be okay with it? Would he support us? Would he? It'd be very interesting. So I think
they coexist, Matt Hardy.
Yeah, that's a very interesting dynamic on this match. So here we go.
Oh boy, as long as Zay doesn't get too jealous, that's all that matters at the end of the day.
Maybe if myself and Leon Slater win the titles, we might have to take on Private Party. We could do it at Hog Wrestling.
There you go. You could do it at Hog. You could do it at Hog. The words have been spoken. We'll see you next time right here on the Extreme Life of Matt Hardy.
Bye.
Well, maybe you're ready to get off the hamster wheel. You know, the Federal Reserve data is showing that the share of accounts making only minimum payments has now climbed above 11% as of the first quarter of this year.
Damn.
That's the highest level since they started recording and tracking this data back in 2012. But at the same time, a recent survey from Experian found that 2 in 5 Americans are carrying credit card debt and believe that making the minimum payment is enough to manage it. But like millions of Americans, are you too struggling with high interest rate credit card debt? You feel stuck just making those minimum monthly payments? Well, you've heard me say time and time again, your home is still worth more than likely what you paid for it. So instead of carrying all that high interest rate debt month to month, why not use the equity in your home instead? Just take a look at Andy, my buddy up in Appleton, Wisconsin. He had some medical issues that forced him and his family to take on a lot of credit card debt. But we hooked him up at SaveWithConrad.com. We helped him take advantage of the equity he had in his home. He paid off that debt, and he's going to save more than $1,000 a month. But how much can you save? Let my team run the numbers for you today for free, just like we did for Andy. There's no cost and no obligation, and if we can't help you save some cash, we won't waste your time. It costs nothing to look, as our pal JR says. And when you work with the team at SaveWithConrad.com, you can also expect our year 3 guarantee. Experts agree that interest rates are set to fall within the next few years, but we have an exclusive 3-year guarantee that allows you to refinance in the next 3 years at any time with no lender fees. So you lock in a better rate, reduce your monthly payments today, but you don't waste money with a whole nother set of closing costs later. The best time to start saving money is today. Well, actually, it was yesterday, but today is the next best opportunity. So why not access some of that newfound equity in your house? Turn your house into your dream home with no money out of pocket. If you've got some honey-do renovations you'd like to do, maybe you've always wanted to upgrade your kitchens or bathrooms, you've got the equity in your house to do that too. No matter what you're looking for, we can help at SaveWithConrad.com. Find out how easy it is to get started. And just so you know, you don't need perfect credit. So even if you've had some problems, we don't say no, we say not yet, but here's how. We want to get you on a path to making those financial goals a reality at SaveWithConrad.com. Why not let my family help your family save some cash at SaveWithConrad.com? NMLS number 2129, equal housing lender, SaveWithConrad.com.